What's up, everybody? Gonna try to do this as best and quick as I can because it's 4:25 right now in the afternoon, and I don't know when my brother-in-law is going to possibly drop off my nephew if he does. But the title says it down below. It says why Daphne Blake was chosen to return in 1983 and 84 and 85. You know, as I've mentioned before, this basically started a revolution which continues to this day, which basically was more embraced now with the internet and everything, known as the Shaggy Daphne shipping and supporting. You see, again, the reason is, pretty much they both have chemistry, I guess you could say, and pretty much have, a better, pretty much kind of have the same likes and associations and stuff like that. But the reason she was brought back, and I mentioned this when I did my cartoon flashback earlier today. She was brought back mainly due to popularity. I mean, you can look online; it pretty much says a lot of the same thing. You had Velma. You could have brought Velma back. Heck, if you wanted to, you could have brought Fred back. You could have brought in a new character. No, they brought Daphne back because she, along with Shaggy and Scooby, were the most popular out of the whole franchise, even to this day. But you see, the reason she was brought back is because they wanted to basically attract a female audience. You see, to me, it's just my personal opinion. I think they were losing a bit of that female young girl audience when it was just Scooby, Shaggy, and Scrappy doing 7-minute little shorts, Looney Tune-like shorts. And, they were just losing a lot of momentum there. And when they decided to come up with all new Scooby Doo Scrappy Doo show / AKA Scooby Doo Mysteries, I think they realized they needed to bring in a female figure, but the thing was, who could they bring in? And obviously by popular demand, it had to be Daphne. I mean, yeah, they could have brought Velma in and everything, but it was like, okay, who would be more of a noticeable? Who would create a bigger impact and bring in more young female viewers? Who would have that bigger impact? And obviously, it turned out to be Daphne because the fact that Daphne was basically the was basically the she was basically like the Barbie doll, the princess, if you will. The Princess Ariel, the Princess Jasmine, the Princess Tatiana, and Rapunzel, if you will, Tangled. She was basically that princess of the group. So obviously, they knew by bringing her in, they would basically gain a lot of viewers, and they did. They did gain a lot of viewers for the show, and that's one of the reasons they brought her in. And also, in my opinion, I think they sort of did like a popularity poll as well. Just my opinion, I think they did this as well to see who they'd rather see. And obviously, Daphne took the votes, unanimously. But even if they didn't do something like that, I think they realized a smart move would be going with Daphne. And the one thing that was noticeable about Daphne, and the reason she was brought back, is she was put into the role basically not only as the leader, but she was put into the role of Velma. She had that. Well, I could think. Well, in a sense, she sort of had the Velma role and the Fred role all combined into one, but she still had her own unique personality. She was still Daphne, and that's what made her very popular with a lot of people. She was still Daphne, and I it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe that here you have basically what many people consider one of the prettiest animated girls. Even Doug Walker has admitted one of the prettiest girls uh, in animation, in television animated history. And yet, here you have her in this role as a leader, to where now she's not, to where now she's basically, like I said, she's got the detectiveness of a Fred. She's got the mystery solving, clue solving of a Velma, but she's still her. She still has that Daphne trait. She's still Daphne. She's just got these little bits and pieces of the other two mixed in to make a complete package. And to me, I thought that was a pretty good, looking back on it, that was a pretty good choice to do that, because it put a female back then in the spot of a leader. And no offense to any female people out there. Oops, no offense to any female viewers out there. But you never really saw a female, lead. You never had a female leader or female group leader that much in animation. You never really did. And again, I'm not trying to be offensive or anything. It's just from what I've seen, you never really had that until then. And with Daphne, you got it. And what was funny too is, and again, this also kind of, because Daphne returned, and the fact that they had all these different episodes and cartoons, different episodes within the cartoon series that kind of, as many fans said, kind of strongly hinted and primarily showcased the fact that Daphne and Shaggy were a couple. It kind of basically, to a lot of the fans, indicated to them that the creators, the people over at Hanna-Barbera at the time, wanted to actually test the waters with that. And, they did just that. They tested the waters, and obviously it was successful. It was very, very successful. Now, another reason they brought her back is because I think when they looked at Daphne, especially when they went back and researched, possibly, because they had to do some research before they would put her in, research exactly, what would help her fit in better than the other two. And it was the fact that she was more willing to accept the supernatural. In fact, you even see that in Zombie Island. In Zombie Island, you actually see that in Zombie Island, that she is more willing to accept the supernatural than the other two. She is. She's more willing to accept, okay, there's got to be more to it than this person being under a mask. She's more willing to accept that supernatural thing. And that's why when they did 13 Ghosts. This is when they did 13 Ghosts. Why they kept her in there instead of bringing somebody else in, because she was more willing, like Shaggy and Scooby, to accept that there was supernatural stuff out there. Also, another reason, not just in the week, but if you want another example as to what I mean, there's an episode from the new Scooby Doo movies that guest stars Dick Van Dyke. I think it's Dick Van Dyke. And he's asking people to raise their hand whether or not they believed the area they're in or the house they were in or whatever was haunted. Well, Velma and Freddy kind of said no, they don't believe it. But get this. Get this. The three that did say they believed it were Scooby, Shaggy, and Daphne. Get the point? Get the point of what I'm trying to say there? What I'm trying to say is, by looking at something like that and researching, kind of gave, in my opinion, the creators of both shows, all three shows, pretty much the idea that, Daphne was the cinch to add in, because she would believe the more of the supernatural than anything else. And to me, that's why she was brought back. She was brought back for the numerous reasons I mentioned, because she was the most one that, along with Scooby and Shaggy, was the one of the most popular. Two, she was a better choice to bring in that young female audience. Three, it showed that perhaps she could be involved in if you want to look at it this way, involved in a different relationship other than with, let's say, Fred. And four, again, like I said, she was more willing to believe in the supernatural than Fred and Velma. And like I said, you could have brought back Fred and Velma all you wanted. You could have brought them back full time in 13 Ghosts. But the reason was because I truly believe, in my opinion, they looked at Fred and Velma and they said, yeah, you can bring them back on occasions in new Scooby Doo mysteries, but then they don't really fit in unless something's really, truly supernatural. And that's why Daphne was brought in, because she fit that mold. And also the fact that she was more willing. I mean, we saw it sometimes with Velma, there's no doubt about that, but she was more willing to go along with a disguise, if you will, more willing to go along with a disguise to kind of distract the ghostly apparitions or the supernatural apparitions. She was, she was willing to go along with the disguises that Shaggy and Scooby and even Scrappy would provide, just to, take care of that. I mean, heck, here's another example: Night Louse at the White House. A Night Louse at the White House. She actually, when Shaggy and Scooby ran into a room and hide from the George Washington or Abe Lincoln ghost, I can't remember which one, she, along with the both of them, but basically barricaded that door. Again, another reason why she was brought back is because she's willing to believe, even though it obviously turns out to be man or woman in a mask kind of deal, she's still willing to give. And she's still willing to give, how do I put this? She's still willing to give belief, is what she's willing. Something like, okay, she's basically willing not to give any doubt of what could be supernatural, what could not be. And that's why she was brought back. Because she's willing to give it the benefit of that's what I'm looking for benefit of the doubt that something could be, non-maskical, a non-mask kind of situation. And again, you want a better example. You want a good example of that. She says it straight out in Zombie Island. So, again, though, it's to me, I truly believe everything, all the reasons I've said, in my opinion, is why Daphne was brought back in 1983 and 84 for the 83 to 86 run that she had. I truly believe that. And I truly believe that if they were to redo that again, if they were to revamp shows like that again and just focus on those three, if they wanted to probably put in Scrappy or someone new, or maybe even bring back D or something like that, to me it would work. It really would. If they wanted to revamp the show, and let's say just focus on Daphne, Shaggy, Scooby, and let's say instead of Scrappy you bring in Dumb, or you want to bring in Scooby D, or even a new Doo character if you want to, that it would work even to this day. It would work. So, again, that is why, in my personal opinion, Daphne Blake was brought back between 83 to 86 because of those very reasons. And if you agree with me, comment below, let me know what you think, and I'll talk to y'all later.